Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement and a very special free swim edition of My Mom's Basement. Credit to Eddie for coining that term, I believe. It's Robbie, Fox, and Clem. We're back. We got no show to recap, but we got a lot of news to break down. Oscar nominations. We've got Star Wars news, Marvel news, movie news, and more. Clem, how we doing?
Doing great, Bob. We're out of fresh content to review. And back in the day, that would drive, that would be kind of like, oh, we get a little bit of a break, but we had a little bit of a winning streak there,
I know we did. It was nice. Like, we had shows that we liked. We had shows that were fun to break down. It wasn't a drag. It wasn't a slog. So yeah, it is a little, it sucks. There's shows coming back that I love, but they're not like basement shows.
I'm sincerely appreciative to those two shows for giving us the highlights we had. I actually might go back and rewatch a little bit of the Creature Commandos and just kind of like, I'm going to just watch GI Robot just kill a bunch of Nazis. I think I'm just going to do that.
It's a good week for that. Some housekeeping before we get into the actual episode. Wanted to remind everyone I'm doing video game streams now. I teased them forever, and now they're actually happening. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m., I'm playing Marvel Rivals from the Barstool office, the Pup Punk studio in the Barstool office. And this week I played as Deadpool. Guess what, Clem? I ordered a new costume for next week, and I'll be doing it up like a huge streamer. I'm going to be the next Kai Cenat, the next Ninja, the next Nick Merckx. I don't even know who all these streamers are, but I'm having fun with it. I'm getting better every stream.
I feel like there's a place for you in that world, Bob. I feel like at least like your appearance, your body type, I feel like there's a spot for you. It's kind of fucked up that there's not already, again, someone who knows nothing about streamers, but I do think there's definitely a spot for my guy, Bob.
Also, I have interviews with Sheamus, WWE superstar Sheamus, and Travis Mills, who hosts Help I'm in a Secret Relationship on MTV. He's also the singer of a band called Girlfriends that I love. They're both live now. Next week, an interview with LS Dunes will go live. They're a pop punk supergroup with like members of My Chemical Romance, Circus Survive, Coheed and Cambria. It's awesome. And then next week, Travis Mills and the LS Dunes interview will be paired on the podcast feed. One other note, housekeeping wise, all of the Pup Punk vlogs are now live on the Pup Punk channel. So if you're interested, my band Pup Punk did a huge tour last summer, and we did 9 dates, summer and fall. We have a vlog for every date. Nick Hamilton edited the hell out of all of them. They all look great. So check those out if you're interested. It's a fun behind the scenes Pup Punk's Almost Famous, if you will.
I love it. Think about where this band's going to be in 10 years and how we're going to look back at those vlogs.
Yeah. And then I have an update for all the listeners out there, all the watchers out there. Daredevil. I have started the series. I'm 4 episodes in and I'm loving it. I but I started Daredevil with Lady Fox, and it was going to be like one of our new shows to get into. And then she went on a work trip the entire week this week, and she has a work trip the entire week next week. So it's like we started it, and now it's going to be like, yeah, we need more Daredevil. But 4 episodes in, I said it feels like an incredibly violent SVU style superhero show, like a lot of SVU vibes, which I didn't expect, but I love. Has a little bit of a Batman Begins feel to it. I know we got to compare everything to a Nolan Batman movie in one way or another. But it does, like, there's scenes by the docks that remind me of that. There's a little bit of the "where is she" in his voice right now. But it never feels cheesy, even a decade after it came out. New York is so clearly New York that I really appreciate it. It might be like a New Yorker thing to say, but so often you watch something set in New York and you're like, yeah, that ain't New York. That's Atlanta or Vancouver or Hollywood. This is like, oh, they shot in Hell's Kitchen. That's awesome. And Kingpin, from the first scene he's in the show, handled perfectly. He's awesome. So yeah, I'm in on Daredevil. I'm excited about it. I'm loving, I saw the hallway scene within the context of the actual show. Everything about it, I'm in on.
I have found a few options for the season 1 recap on YouTube. Listen, I'm not shortchanging the listeners and the viewers here. I could go with the 3-minute recap. No. We're going with like the 23-minute recap. Nice. We're going to do it right. We're going to give a little bit of appreciation to, the newest, oldest member of the MCU that's coming in here. So I found what I found for season 1 and 2. I don't know where it goes from there, but yeah, very excited. And so we have to do You have to do a full-blown Daredevil and Punisher. I feel like we need to know the Punisher now too, Bob.
I know. It's like 2 seasons worth of Punisher too. I think you do the first 2 seasons of Daredevil, then you start Punisher, then you go back to Daredevil, then you finish Punisher, something like that. It's a lot of television. I don't know if Lady Fox will be on board for the Punisher as well, but hell, she likes John Berthal. I don't think there's any women in the world that don't like John Berthal, who is now part of Christopher Nolan's next movie, by the way. Congrats to our guy. Let it rip with Christopher Nolan, dude.
John Bernthal just being in the MCU is so fucking awesome. And
he's the best.
When he was Punisher, I don't really think I knew. If I knew who he was, I'm sure. Like he's in Wolf of Wall Street, I think, at that point. But I didn't know the name, and I obviously his work since then has been incredible. So I'm just very happy with all the actors we're getting into the MCU.
Yeah. And also, you mentioned that 23-minute recap thing. I had to do that recently with Severance, which I know you said you want to get into. I love Severance. It's, I think, like one of the best seasons of television I've ever watched. So intriguing. So it's a slow burn, but it's such an interesting sci-fi mystery. Great cast. Christopher Walken, John Turturro, Adam Scott. So good. But the season is so convoluted and confusing at times that when season 2 came back, I was like, man, I should watch the whole season again. Didn't have the time. I watched like a 33-minute or something, recap video. And same thing like you. I was like, I could show this whatever, I could 10-minute video, or I could show it the respect of a 33-minute video. You got to do that with Severance. And if you catch up in time, maybe we'll do some Severance recaps in the podcast. It won't be like every episode we're recapping a Severance episode, but I know people have asked about that. And yes, I am watching it and I'm loving season 2 so far.
Yeah, little update from my end. I got all the way to season 1, episode 1, hit play, and I had some sort of network error go on.
So no.
And I was just like, I just can't deal with this right now. What's going on? I was like, I just needed this. I actually thought to my head, I just need this to be as seamless as possible. And I don't know what it was, if it was the TV, the server, whatever. It just didn't work. And I was like, oh, that's a fucking thorn in the side for Severance here. So we'll see. But again, I've heard nothing but great things about it, except for the 3 people I asked right before watching it. And all 3 said, I just didn't like it. And I feel like I'm the only person in the world. Oh, damn.
Damn. It is, like I said, a slow burn, and it's very confusing, but like not so confusing that you can't follow. It's just confusing in a like, oh my God, what's happening way. Like, what are they going to reveal next? Let's get into Oscar nominations, but first, tell everyone about Game Time, one of our favorite sponsors. We love getting out to live events, whether it's a concert, a football game, Commanders, maybe this weekend you're going, whatever it is, you got to use Game Time when you're going there. It's the easiest ticketing platform to use, and they make it so easy for you. They've got their new Game Time Picks feature. They make it so easy. They filter out the fluff. They show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. If I go on Game Time right now, popular events in New York City right now, Heat at the Nets this Saturday. Get into the building for $26. Take your kid to see an NBA game for $26. That's amazing. Avalanche at Rangers, you're going to have to pay a little more. It's the Mecca, it's MSG, but $122 will get you into the most famous arena in the world. That will be awesome. Check out tickets on the GT Picks setting at the top of your screen, or browse the best local Game Time picks near you on the Game Time app homepage. What are you waiting for? Buy those tickets now. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code MMB for My Mom's Basement for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. But again, create an account, redeem code MMB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time.
Get yourself some NFC Championship game tickets, Bob Fox. The man.
Can you believe it? First time in my life.
Bob, let me just say this. I looked at the playoff bracket and said the only way, I said my biggest fear is somehow the Lions tripping up before the NFC Championship game, the Eagles being able to host a home game, and whatever team trips up those lines better come through. So I'll tell you right now, if the Commanders lose, I will be as upset with you about sports as I've been since you basically wish that the Mets would lose.
I was going to say since a few months ago.
Yeah, since a few months ago. You will then be a solid number 2 on my shit list right there.
I know, it's crazy. I didn't think they were going to be able to pull it off. They pulled it off. It was an amazing game, and we'll see what happens in Philly now. I mean, this is like, it doesn't feel real that the Commanders have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. We're one game away from the Super Bowl right now, but it's real. It's real life. This is happening.
Faith is just thrilled too. I can just tell.
She
Faith
is. I
is
put
having
the
the time of her
bandana
life.
on her every week. Got to put the traditional Instagram post up for good luck now. Yeah, she's all in. But let's talk Oscars. Oscar nominations are out for 2025, or I guess, yeah, 2024 movies, but 2025 Oscars. That's always confusing. It's kind of like the Madden thing.
Yeah, it's also like right now, it's like, is this the 2024 NFC Championship? Because it's
I
in
know
season.
that's confusing too.
Yeah, because I just blogged about the old Chiefs Bills one. There was a 21 championship, but it happened in January 22. So it's the same kind of thing with the
Maybe they should
Oscars.
take that from the NFL and do like the 24-25 season.
Yes.
Because one of the movies nominated for Best Picture, which we'll get into here, it's a movie called I'm Still Here. It was released, I looked it up, and it might have been on the festival circuit, but it was released in 2025. It was released like last week. So I was like, what the fuck?
Oh,
Very confusing. But yes, nominations are out. The Best Picture nominations are out. Dune is actually the fourth franchise in history to have its first two movies both nominated for Best Picture. I think the other ones being Avatar, The Godfather, and something else. I forget which one it was. I have the tweet here discussing film. Oh, Avatar, The Godfather, and Lord of the Rings, which, you know, we're not the biggest fans of here in the basement, but respect to Lord of the Rings, obviously a huge franchise. Some of the stories coming out about it, a lot of them are actually basement focused because they're Dune related. So Denis Villeneuve didn't get nominated for Best Director, which is bullshit. Like, I left Dune 2 being like, that guy is the winner of Best Director this year.
yeah.
There's nobody even close to that. It was a movie that made me feel like I knew what Jeff D. Lowe was talking about when he said, see it on the biggest screen possible.
Yes.
I was like, all right, I get it now. Like, that was a movie worth seeing in a movie theater. And Josh Brolin says he's apparently going to quit acting because he threatened that last year. He's like, yeah, if he don't win, if he doesn't even get nominated this year, I'm quitting acting. And then he doesn't even fucking get nominated this year. Crazy.
It's one of those things where you look back at your takes and everything after it happens, like, oh, we got our winner here, right? And then,
it seemed so obvious. It was like, oh, this is like, yeah, Nolan's going to be the one to hand it off to him. And it's going to be like, what a moment, because they're boys.
This is the thing, though. Let's be honest. And I'm sure we'll get into it with some of the other nominations. If you just cannot get mad at award shows anymore. I hit my limit with The Wire, like I said, with the Emmys, and it carries to all award shows. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a lot of politics. And you can even go back to awards. You have, the MVP. I'm sure people are going to be pissed about whoever wins the MVP between Josh Allen and Lamar. You have Ichiro not unanimously in the Hall of Fame. You know what the funny thing is, Bob? All these people on Twitter are so mad about Ichiro not being unanimous. And you know what? Not one of those people voted for him.
Yeah, good point.
They may not have had a vote, but hey, it's just, spot the lie.
There does seem to be just this anti-Dune bias this year at the Oscars, because Hans Zimmer was not allowed to be nominated because they said he used too many of his themes from the last movie, even though it's like it's part one and part two of the same movie. So it's like, no shit, he's using the themes from the first movie. You have to, but whatever. And Chalamet was not nominated for Best Actor. And I know you're like, well, yes, he was. He was nominated for Bob Dylan, Best Actor. I think the guy should have been nominated against himself. And I know I'm really glazing Timothy Chalamet recently. I want to be best friends with him. I want to be boys with him. I think if we met, we would hit it off. We'd play video games together. We would fucking go to the movies together. We'd listen to Bob Dylan together. But he should have been nominated against himself in this category. And it's bullshit that he wasn't. Even Jeff D. Lowe. Listen, I didn't see the Bob Dylan movie yet. Jeff D. Lowe is like, he was amazing as Bob Dylan. He was better as Paul Atreides.
Yes, I saw both movies, believe it or not.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Mama Clem is a huge Bob Dylan fan, so I said,
I didn't know that.
The movies today.
I'm dying to see that movie because I just read the whole audiobook.
Oh wow, yeah, he went a lot more in depth. Bob Dylan's one of those guys who's always like, I just want to know more about him. He just is like a guy who's always had the music, and I don't know anything about him. Seems like a pretty quiet guy in general. And Chalamet, everyone said this about the movie, and I think it is true. It's they're better performances than a movie when it's all said and done.
Interesting.
And he does.
And I could see that because the book is interesting, but it's not a book that you put down and go, oh my God, they could make that into a movie tomorrow. Yeah. It's like, it's a singular event that I'm sure they stretch out and they give more of his life, but it's the Newport event is the big focus of it.
Yes. And the thing about it all is that Chalamet becomes Bob Dylan. Like by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, I'm just looking at Bob Dylan. Like you forget that you're watching a movie. I will say I would have preferred the Dune Chalamet to get a nomination than the Bob Dylan one. The other thing is, I feel like the Oscars didn't see this coming. I feel like the Oscars like, listen, we're just gonna put one shout. Like, who's gonna fucking complain? Like the nerd, like obviously you're gonna have the hardcore nerdy movie people who are like Chalamet, this and that. They didn't know that the Chalamet fucking revolution was about to take place online.
Yeah.
When that College Game Day clip came out, he had all the fucking, you know, the quote unquote jocks or the sports fans or whatever you want to call it. And then like everyone just started researching Chalamet more and more. Like
he went on Theo Vaughn's podcast.
Yes.
He seemed like the man. He did the interview with Nordwar. He seemed like the man. He was funny. He was knowledgeable. Everything about Chalamet just said he's just like you or me, but the guy's famous and dating Kylie Jenner, and he's the fucking Lisan Al Gaib.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't think the common man was going to be riding for someone named Timothée Chalamet, but he's also a fucking diehard Knicks fan. I don't. Did I tell you about the tweet that they found?
I think we did talk about that. Yeah.
But it's like, you know, back in the dark days of the Knicks, the Landry Fields era, this guy is fucking winning Knicks tickets because he's a diehard fan at the age of like 9 years old. They called him Tim from New York at that point. He wasn't Timothy at that. So the fact that we're like, and it's like Paul Atreides, like that guy fucking ruled. That guy just fucking.
I know, he's amazing. So, and it makes me want to watch Dune right now, even just talking about it on the podcast. Like I got the Dune Blu-rays for Christmas. I might go pop them in as I edit this podcast. It's so good. And he really like won me over too. Because the first Dune movie, I was like, yeah, it was good. I thought it was really cool. Like great sci-fi, cool setup. The second Dune movie, I'm like, he's the fucking Messiah. He is. And then he is too.
And the way he plays it, where he's unsure about himself, and you just see him growing in confidence, and then he has Zendaya, and then he knows kind of all these different things about whether it's bullshit or it's real. He absolutely crushes it. He's like lived up to the name Timothée Chalamet. He's lived up to that actor name, which is so hard to do. He deserves, if there's one person who deserves to be against himself for best actor, it's someone named Timothy. He's Lisan Al Gaib. Like, it's fucking crazy. He's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But listen, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, I could have just really just gotten all in the mix and fucking angry about it. I'm sure Jeff D. Lowe is probably on a campaign right now.
Probably.
He's probably roasting people left and right. But kind of like what you did with the Penguin. I don't have it in me anymore, especially with award shows. It just fuck them all. But I would have loved to have seen it and I think that's going to be my movie for like the background movie as I'm doing stuff today. Is I think I'm going to rock some Dune 2. My last one, I haven't watched in probably like 5 or 10 years. Bob Fox, you've had to have seen Dazed and Confused, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
because I was like, Anderson.
That would be it's not. It's Link.
Is that him, right?
Linklater, I think. But it's
oh, it is. Yeah.
It's
right.
A big time. Like that is an absolute layup of a Bob Fox movie. And if you hadn't seen it,
I'd be. It was Paul Thomas Anderson. Who did I think? What movie did Paul Thomas Anderson make that I thought was similar to that? It hasn't. It's been a long time, and I got to be completely honest with you. Oh, Boogie Nights is probably the movie that I'm thinking of. Yeah. I'm not like in love with Dazed and Confused. Like I think a lot of people would think that I would be. Like I liked it when I watched it, but I think I was my expectations were too high because I was like, oh my God, it's a Led Zeppelin movie. Like, you know.
I'll tell you right now, Bob, rewatch it. It gets better every time. It really does. And I hadn't seen it in years.
I love Linklater, yeah.
And you get a little bit of perspective when you're at I imagine you probably saw when you were younger, closer to high school and all that stuff. You get a little bit of perspective now. And you just have to understand it's a little bit of like, I think a lot of the stuff that they do with the hazing and stuff happens in college, but apparently this was unique to his Texas town. So I cannot, I'm just so happy to have it back in my life. And the soundtrack is just somehow even better than I remember. As someone that grew up remembering everyone had the shirt, the poster, and the soundtrack, just a fucking 10 out of 10. And like some of those actors who just become like fucking, you have Affleck, you have McConaughey, you have our girl Joey Lauren Adams. Or whatever. Like just seeing her
chasing
like
Amy,
a puppy, you know. So it's some cool shit. Parker Posey.
Some other Oscar stuff. Emilia Perez, this movie that we mentioned when we talked about the Golden Globes, has the second most nominations of all time. 13 Oscar nominations, second all time, tied with Oppenheimer, Forrest Gump, Gone with the Wind. The most ever are All About Eve, a movie from the 50s. Titanic and La La Land, they all have one more with 14. It's just crazy. I know we talked about it with the Golden Globes episode, and I don't want to sound like a broken record and repeat myself, but there's this scene in this episode where they're talking about transitioning, and they're from penis to vagina. They sing it like that, from penis to vagina. And nobody really seems to like this movie except the Academy. Like, the Academy has made it this amazing nominated movie. The audience score is not great. The critic score is a little better. I think the critic score is somewhere around 70, but even the good reviews are kind of meh about it, because apparently the director is from France. He's French. And he said, like, he didn't do any research into Mexico because he knew what it was like just from his mind or something. And people are upset about that. They're like, well, that kind of seems ignorant. And Zoe Saldana apparently doesn't do a great Spanish accent in it, or doesn't speak Spanish very naturally in it. That's something that obviously we can't speak to. We can't tell, but that's some of the criticism I've seen about it. It's just one of the strangest things to ever happen to an award show, where it's like, this movie, the people are acting like it's Oppenheimer, Forrest Gump, and Gone with the Wind.
So again, as someone who is just so done with award shows and just hates so much about the fucking fart sniffers who do it and all the nonsense they put all the audience through, this is kind of like I am with college football, where back in the day before they had the playoffs, I'd say, just give me the chaos team, the team that will just piss off everyone and they're going to say they don't deserve to be there, but they get in and they just fuck everything up. Or they don't get in, and then everyone's mad they didn't get in. Florida State was kind of that last year when their quarterback got hurt. I'm kind of hoping this thing sweeps. I hope
no, Clem, no.
And then it's like most Academy Awards ever, and it's just boom.
Not from penis to vagina.
Yes, penis to vagina, best song, best fucking original score, whatever you want to call it. And that is just the king. And it's just like, and then everyone will then realize just how worthless these awards truly are.
Yeah.
And you go, well, that swept and won a million fucking awards, and we should not get so upset about it.
It's that, you know what, that's fair enough. And to end this Oscar segment, I have listed 2 of the news stories around the nominations that I think actually have the upswing and make you go, all right, that's kind of cool. One of which being The Substance, very fucked up movie, Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, is the 7th horror film to be nominated for Best Picture. I thought that was kind of cool. The Oscars doesn't really recognize horror films a lot. The 6 before it were The Exorcist, Jaws, The Silence of the Lambs, The Sixth Sense, Black Swan, and Get Out. To be completely honest, 6 movies I liked way more than The Substance. But I liked The Substance. I like more than the movie itself. I like that it's getting recognized. I like that horror movies can get recognized. To me, more her performance is being absolutely raved about, and rightfully so. And then the other thing I had, that movie I mentioned, I'm Still Here, that came out this year. Fernanda Torres is the second only Brazilian actress to be nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. The first was her mother, Fernanda Montenegro. How cool is that? To kind of like fulfill that legacy, to step into those shoes. Your mom's the only one to ever get nominated from Brazil, and then you're the second. That's fucking badass. That's cool.
Same category and everything. That's awesome.
I just thought that was a feel-good story, you know?
Yes. Yeah. That's one of those sports stats that's just so quirky. It's like you have to just,
yeah.
And Jake Marsh, it's wild. The wild meter is through the charts on that one, even though, I don't know the Brazil, how much they're represented in these categories usually, but still wild nonetheless. If we were in a different time where everyone didn't take everything so literal and get outraged, I think I would have wrote a blog just crying and raging about how the Penguin didn't get nominated for any Oscars. And then the whole joke would be you can't get nominated for a movie award if you're a TV show, but it would have went over everyone's
head. Funny. I would like that block.
Go for it, Bob. It's all yours if you want. I don't have it in me right now.
I'm glad you brought up that sports analogy real quick, because we could transition into an ad for DraftKings before we get into the DC and Marvel portion of the podcast. And we're talking NFL playoffs here with DraftKings.
Manders!
You bet we're talking Manders. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And I don't know if you remember, I don't know if listeners remember, early on in the season, you were the one to tell me, hey, Bob, I think you should be a Manders guy. I think, PFT calls them the commies, but you should call them the Manders. Kind of sounds like Mando. Yep. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. We love him. And I have abided by that the entire season. I have been like, yes, I love that. I post Manders by a million, Manders, whatever. I like it. I think it flows off the tongue. So we are talking Manders with our friends at DraftKings. We're talking touchdown bets. Scoring touchdowns, obviously the key to winning in the NFL playoffs, but the key to you scoring big is placing a touchdown bet. I actually did this on the college football championship. I placed a bet on Smith to score a touchdown, Jeremiah Smith. He was the first one. I made that bet immediately. It was amazing. Here's another reason to watch your favorite players crush it in the playoffs. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So score big during the NFL playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code BASEMENT, all caps, BASEMENT. That's code BASEMENT for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. We love DraftKings.
Love DraftKings. I love seeing all the boys and girls. I saw Taylor Watch is in there as well for all the little bets that everyone has. So friend of the program, friend of Barstool, friend of the basement. That means keeping the basement lights on. Love it, DraftKings. And love you, Manders. Just please, God, please. My life is now just rooting against the Eagles in the playoffs because I know the Cowboys will screw up whenever they make it. The Manders, I cannot possibly find hate in the Manders. We are Knicks, Manders, people who were haunted by owners for years, and the Giants just don't make runs anymore. They might get in and then they lose in the first or second round. I need you guys to win.
Please, Jaden, football gods.
Maybe I'll responsibly bet the Eagles to like hedge my happiness or something. I don't know. I'm going to figure that out, but I will do it on DraftKings no matter what.
All right. We love DraftKings. Shout out DraftKings. Now to get into the DC and Marvel portion of the podcast, I figure we'll start with DC because there's not a ton. The first behind the scenes photo from Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow was shared yesterday by James Gunn. He said, thrilled to see the cameras roll at Warner Brothers Studios. Craig Gillespie at the helm. He did I, Tonya, Dumb Money. He did Cruella, movies that I really love. I think Craig Gillespie is a great pick for this. And the phenomenal Millie Alcock as our Kara Zor-El from House of the Dragon, of course, season 1. She played the young Rhaenyra. Craig brings an incredible sensibility to this story, and Millie is every inch the unique Supergirl envisioned by Tom King. And everyone, I can't pronounce the names of the artists that wrote it, but it is based on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, the book by Tom King, which is raved about. I think I've mentioned a little bit about the story in the podcast before. Focuses around Supergirl on her 21st birthday. She goes to a distant planet without a red sun so she could get drunk, so she could feel the effects of alcohol. And she meets this young alien girl named Ruth, whose father was brutally murdered, and she swore to avenge her father with the sword that was fucking left in his body as he was killed. It's metal. It's a metal-ass story. And look at that. Clem's got the light show. Hell yeah. It's badass. It's not just like Superman, but he's a girl, and it's fun-loving, and it's not like a movie for girls or anything like that. It's fucking badass, unforgiving, a story about like grief and loss and resilience, pretty much. I don't know how Lobo is going to fit into the equation because he's not in the comic, but it does take place in this like unforgiving universe where I think the bounty hunter, everyone's favorite bounty hunter, will show up pretty quickly.
The whole Supergirl thing, I saw you blog this going up in a bit. It'll already be up by the time we go live here on the pod. People, these eagle eyes with this picture of her in the clouds, and they think that's like a shout out to her.
So, yeah, people think in the Superman trailer, we know Millie Alcock is going to debut as Supergirl in the Superman movie now. That's been confirmed by The Hollywood Reporter. They think that in the reflection of a robot's head, you can see her. If you look at it, though, I'm telling you, it is a shape. I said in my blog, it's like you telling me Jesus was burnt into your toast, or like, doesn't that cloud look like this? Or it's a Rorschach test almost. And sure, if you look at it under the context of like, this is a Supergirl head and this is where her body would go, and it's like, you could be like, maybe, but you can't see shit. And if this is Supergirl, if they are right about it, I said it's as impressed I'll be with a fan theory conspiracy as I've ever been in my entire life.
Would you say if this ends up being true, it supersedes the Boba Fett Spurs sound?
Yes.
Agreed.
I think it does. Because at least the Boba Fett Spurs sound, people were able to like look at the audio waves against Empire Strikes Back and be like, all right, it's the exact same audio waves. They probably use the same file. This is just like, there's nothing you could check it on. I also said the first person that spotted this should be immediately hired by the United States government and put into like counterterrorism. Because we need your eyes doing more than just spotting Easter eggs and comic book trailers.
That's Frank Abagnale. You hire him to like find the fraud stuff, right? The person who found that is like brain level of Stryker's kid in X2, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he William Jr. or I don't remember his name. Jason?
Forget his
I think it's
name, but
Jason.
yeah, we
I
got to
think it's
put him
Jason.
in like a white padded room and just make
Yes.
sure that person is not going to like use their intel and their eagle eye for any bad. And other James Gunn, just little things he confirmed or didn't confirm on Twitter. Or I guess he's not on Twitter. I think he did this on Blue Sky or Threads. He's on all the other social media. He said,
Is he posting only on the other ones now? Has he given up?
yes, I think so. No. Because he tweeted that Supergirl thing, but he's
Okay.
he's not like responding to fans on Twitter anymore.
I feel like we're going to be losing.
He's a GI robot guy. You
We're
know,
gonna
he
be
sees
yes.
Elon and he's like GI robot activated.
GI robot. If GI robot was real, we could be down the world richest man. I will say that.
James Gunn said the Suicide Squad, in context to the new DCU, is an imperfect memory. So certain things will be canon, like obviously some of the characters. Project Starfish, I think, was mentioned. Rick Flag's kid was killed, and he mentioned that in Creature Commando. So all of that stuff is confirmed. But if something doesn't line up perfectly, he's like, yeah, it's an imperfect memory, which I kind of think is fine. I've even been thinking about how they're going to correct the Peacemaker finale with the Justice League, him seeing all them. I was thinking there could straight up be almost a fourth wall breaking line in the new season where they're like, you mean to tell us there was a universe where everything played out exactly as it did in our universe, but at the end they saw the Justice League? And Waller could be like, yep, exactly. We discovered it, but we pruned that one. And you could be like, oh, okay. Like it could be one of those Terrence Howard recasting lines where the audience gets what you're going for and we just move on from it. He also confirmed Clayface is not dead in the DCU. He said the reports of Clayface's death have been greatly exaggerated. We knew Clayface wasn't dead. He's just a little pile of mush, but if he got that much Clayface, he's still alive.
Yeah, I didn't think Clayface was done. I think he's too big of a name and too fun of a character to use to just be like, yep, let's wipe him out in this cartoon that probably a ton of people aren't going to watch. This is why you need to have a veteran who's done comic movies or shows or whatever, comic content, and has dealt with comic fans. This is why when you hire the guy to run your studio, that's the kind of guy you should hire because he knows the craziness that's going to come. Well, excuse me, sir. The Spurs did not sound the same as it did in episode 5, right? It would be the same kind of shit.
I love that Nerd Clem voice.
Yeah,
we need Nerd Clem as a new character.
I'm gonna try to bring him out.
It's like Nerd Comic Book Guy. It's like you would be Comic Book Guy's friend.
I'm thinking there's like the nerd characters in The Simpsons, right? You have the comic book guy who's one kind of nerd. You have Professor Frankel, who's another kind. But then you have the guys who are like the three nerds and Homer yells nerds at them. That's the kind of guys that are talking about Boba Fett Spurs. I guarantee there was a meeting and it was on a calendar. It was an hour plus long between Star Wars people. And they're like, how do we tease this Boba Fett? And they go, yo, we have to use the same exact audio file or else these fucking nerds will point it out. So James Gunn, good move. I feel like there's going to always be inconsistencies between projects because a lot of times they don't have the whiteboard. Even if they have the whiteboard, they don't have every little fucking breadcrumb mapped out to a T. Misremember, different memory, whatever the fuck it is. Good work by you, James Gunn.
And that's all I really had DC-wise. I know DC's been dominating the news for us recently, but it was a quiet week for them. More of a active week for Marvel. We actually got the first reactions to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the cartoon that was going to start off as an MCU cartoon, talk about his freshman year, and then they realized that put too much constraints on the writing and the character, so they wound up making it not an MCU story. Even though a lot of the stuff lines up with the MCU, some of the MCU voice actors return, it's a little confusing. And I didn't love the animation style. I think it looks amazing in still pictures. No pun intended. Amazing Spider-Man. It looks great in still pictures, but when it moves, it just looks a little weird. It looks like I'm going to have to get used to it a little bit. But the first reactions are out and they're great, Clem. Just reading a couple tweets. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is a fresh, frenetic, and absolutely fantastic remix of everything we love about Spidey. It's the freshest take we've seen on your favorite webhead and forever. Benefits so much from being free of the constraints of the sacred timeline. It's the best animated series from Marvel Studios yet. Yes, I said it. It's simply amazing. Stunning 2D, 3D animation and retro flair bring a multiversal MCU Spider-Man to life. It exceeds every expectation. it seemingly is a great show. I haven't seen one negative about the whole thing yet.
So, Bob, I haven't seen anything good or bad about it. I think my algorithm and your algorithm are much different, and this showing up on your algorithm would make a lot more sense. All I saw was I was on Reddit, and it was like official thread for Spider-Man reviews. And I think I must have just happened to click it as soon as it was posted because there was only one reply, and the guy goes, "Those are all paid reviews. I don't believe it. It's going to suck." And I was like, well, that just completely threw out any fucking optimism I would have had if I had read any of those reviews.
That's the internet.
And now that you read them, I'm like, oh, those are all paid. That's how fucking like sick and twisted the internet can be. This dude who was probably in his basement talking, and he just had to rip apart Spider-Man because it's not his Spider-Man, or they didn't name it the one he wanted. So again, I'm going based on your review, basically. Well,
yeah, fair.
I don't know.
I'll give you.
I don't know if I can, because if I had went into Last Jedi based on your review, I would have somehow been even more devastated.
Spidey, we're pretty aligned. I think we're aligned on Spidey.
Have you ever said anything bad about Spider-Man though?
Yeah, about the Amazing Spider-Man movies for sure. Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
You know, like.
Okay. Yep.
I can see that. I think I'm decently rational about Spider-Man. Someone I'm not so rational about is Captain America, and we've got some Captain America news today.
Ooh, this is going to be this is a tricky time for the basement right here.
Yeah.
This movie, I'm going into this movie like it's if it's like a subject that if you're girl, it's gonna just potentially end up like I'm going into this, and it's on Valentine's Day, no less for us here.
You're pushing that talk off to the end of the night. Yeah, you're like, I don't want to ruin the night. Yeah, but we got their budget reportedly $180 million on the budget, and it's tracking to open with $95 million just domestically, which would suggest that they're going to make that budget back like that. And I texted this to Clem last night, and I took a beat. I texted to him being like, oh my God, it's great. They kept the budget down with the stars, Harrison Ford coming in and whatnot. And the fact that they did so many reshoots due to the real life stuff that they had to change and whatnot. So I was like, this is great. They kept it low. This is actually a good budget story for Marvel Studios. Not like they were $10 trillion over budget again. And then I realized I texted it to Clem and basically was giving them praise for having $180 million budget like they were an indie movie. I was like, how great is this? They made a movie for nothing.
And then my reply was, yeah, they'll clear that quick unless it's a bomb. Probably won't matter either way. You're like, totally. Like, because you're like, you know what? Let's just not.
Yeah, it won't be a bomb. Yeah, it won't be a bomb. You know, I know people are saying it's going to be a bomb. It won't be a bomb.
So this is my thoughts on Captain America. It doesn't have the same I mean, it probably has like more commercials or whatever you want to measure it, but in terms of the hype for it, it doesn't have nearly the feeling that Quantumania had, Ant-Man 3, but I do feel like I could leave the theater with the same like what the fuck, and I don't think it'll be the same reasoning, but I do think like I could have the same disappointed, like, man, they could have really made that something so much better when I leave. I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, believe it or not. I've been wrong actually a lot of times. But man, like, it's like, again, they're going to be fine. They're going to recover the budget in no time. Even if it is worse than Ant-Man 3, I think they'll be fine. But man, it's just, we only have a few projects like this left where they started before when the ironic thing is that Trust the Feige Light was on when these were all made. And then they're the reasons that the Trusty Feige Light is now only on when you're the last person to pass it.
It's tricky. And we've had a lot of reshoots. We've had a lot of test screenings that reportedly don't have the best feedback. But I had this blog this week where I said not all reshoots are bad, because the Russos came out and they said the original portal scene from Endgame was drastically changed in reshoots. They said originally it all focused around Captain America and it kind of circled around him. I would assume to mirror the original circling Avengers shot from the first movie. Even they do one in Age of Ultron like that. And then they changed it so every hero could have their own entrance, which I think is, I can't imagine it any differently. You know, I think that was definitely the right call. When I look at that, I'm like, all right, we got that. I Am Iron Man was like the last thing added to that movie in reshoots. The Darth Vader scene in Rogue One was added to that movie in reshoots. Let me just remind everybody, reshoots don't always mean bad news for the movies. Every now and then they fix the movie, or every now and then they do what they're supposed to do and they just fill in the gaps, and you can't even tell the difference between what was reshoots, what was original production. One other just like cool news story about Captain America. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question about reshoots. Do you think that the Khaleesi Drax arm was a reshoot? I think it was.
I don't know if it was a reshoot or if it was just like they had no time with the CGI. It looks so bad. Probably was a reshoot though. Who knows? And then the only other Captain America thing I had, it's not even like kind of a news story, but Anthony Mackie said in an interview that Chris Evans was actually the one that broke the news to him that he would be the new Captain America. So it's like life imitated art in that moment. And before they went to shoot one of the days on Endgame, he was like, hey, have you read the latest draft of the script? He said, no, why? He's like, oh, you got to come down to the basement and read it right now. And Anthony Mackie was like, fuck, he wants to get my reaction to me reading that I've been killed off. He thought they were going to kill him off in the script, but no, it was just him handing him the shield. And he said they just jumped around and hugged like little kids.
Yeah, that was awesome. I just love how Anthony Mackie he was so fucking negative.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the black guy. I figured they were gonna kill me. He's like, it's not a horror movie, dude.
Yeah, he'd be cooked if this was Marvel Zombies. No doubt about it. He'd be dead.
Definitely.
But this is the MCU, the real life. So that was a very cool story. I have to agree there.
And then interesting fact here from Benedict Cumberbatch, and I don't know if we could take it as fact or if he's playing with our emotions here. Mm-hmm. He says Doctor Strange will not appear in Avengers Doomsday. They're saving him for a major role in Avengers Secret War. He also teased Doctor Strange 3 is on the way, in the works. Could this mean we're not going to get him in Doomsday, but Doctor Strange 3 will be the movie that comes between them? Almost like how we had that in the past with Infinity War and Endgame, Ant-Man and the Wasp bridge the gap. I think Captain Marvel was in between them. Exactly. Could they do something like that with him? I don't know. I think they could. At the same time, part of me would be a little surprised if Strange wasn't in Doomsday. He does feel like, in a way, he's sort of like a leader of the Avengers at this point.
Yeah, I mean, when we were saying like, who's going to be in this thing? It's like, well, I mean, got to be Doctor Strange, right? Like, it's
yeah,
like him
unless
and,
like
3 other guys.
Does Captain America Brave New World establish a new, smaller Avengers team while Strange is off with the multiverse? We have this like Earth level Avengers team. Maybe they team up with the Thunderbolts or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's all going to go. Maybe it won't have anyone that had to deal with Tony Stark. And it's like, because it's just going to be weird, right? And you don't have to see
some people were saying too, this would be interesting if all of the original Avengers were the villains for this movie as multiversal variants. So they were saying like Tony is Dr. Doom, obviously. Chris Evans is fucking Ronan, the evil version of Captain America or something. And what if they were all their evil?
Thor is Loki.
Yeah, maybe Thor's fucking Loki. Maybe Chris Hemsworth is playing Loki for the first time. Like maybe they do some weird shit where in this Avengers movie, you have to take down the original Avengers. You have to let the past die, as the Last Jedi said.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Like, hey, they're like, listen, we have to make an Avengers movie that people care about and it's gonna like be worthy of the title. It's like, how do you guys think we're going to do that with like the action figures we've been given from the last few years? And it's like, fair point. Just go back and fucking take all the
grab the old bin action figures. Yeah.
That's honestly a fair point. Like, I don't really have a comeback to that as someone who admittedly doesn't have the creative juices to even think about making an Avengers movie. But yeah, that would be that's a fun. Like, at least, again, another good fan conspiracy theory out there. I like that. Bob, I got to ask you this, too. Can you be honest with me? Say you see Captain America before me.
Yeah.
How honest can you be about Captain America? Okay, I'm ranking it. I think Star Wars is the hardest. You have the biggest blind spot for.
Yes.
Would you say you have a bigger blind spot for Captain America than Spider-Man, though?
No, I actually think Spider-Man might be more than Captain America in terms of blind spot because I don't have as much a nostalgic connection to Captain America.
And
like
Anthony
MCU
Mackie
Captain
too,
America,
I think throws that off
true.
As well. If
absolutely. Okay. But I always think back and I'm like, my brain just must be fucking fried from, all the stuff that I smoke or something. I don't know. Because I think back to Love and Thunder. I left Love and Thunder and I was like, yeah, it was just like Ragnarok. I can't imagine someone liking Ragnarok and not liking Love and Thunder. And I was so wrong about that. Everyone that liked Ragnarok hated Love and Thunder. I still like Love and Thunder. I don't think it's, Ragnarok level. Watching it a couple times, I could recognize the times where they strayed from the path. Maybe they should have gone a little more serious where they went comedic, but I still like that movie. So like, I don't know. I might just be fucked. My brain, my letterboxed, I have a letterboxed bio and it says like, I like most movies, especially if there's lightsabers or superheroes in them. And it's like, I don't know. I am biased in that way. I would hope that I could be realistic with this though.
Now this is part 2 of the question. And for the record, I'm with you. I Love and Thunder, I liked it when I left the theater. I watched it for the second time and I read the podcast. I was like, I fucking hated that movie the second time. Harrison Ford, I feel like you're going to have
yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be like, if I say how was Harrison Ford's performance,
that'll be great no matter what.
It's
I
Han
think.
Solo. It's you can't go wrong. Red
Yeah.
Hulk, he's the fucking man. And I wonder how much that skews your movie opinions there. So
I think you're right about Ford. And by the way, we got a new story about him this week. Apparently, Red Hulk is in the movie for less than 5 minutes.
I honestly expected that. I didn't.
Yeah, that didn't shock me. It's just like we've seen so much of him in the trailers already. It disappoints me. Like, oh, we've seen like what, like 20% of his screen time already.
I wish that we didn't even know he was the Red Hulk, which I mean, it's so hard to keep secret these days with all that stuff. But especially if there's only 5 minutes, I think it might have had somewhat of a chance to not trickle down to at least some like me who's not connected to the message boards and the diehard theories and all that stuff. And it's like, now you're going in. I'm happy I know this though, because going in and then leaving, I would have been like, where the fuck is the Red Hulk? I want more Red Hulk.
Yeah. Let's tell everyone about a new sponsor before we get into some miscellaneous news stories. It's Bird Dogs. Dressing up for the winter is very tricky for men. Always. You don't know what to wear. You don't know whether or not to do a hoodie and a big puffy jacket over that. And then you got to check the jacket if you got to an event. It's very confusing. A hoodie makes you look like you're running late for college finals. A blazer makes you feel like you're going to a funeral. Bird Dogs classic quarter zips are perfect for when you're looking for something in between. Whether you're golfing or going out on a first date, ooh, Bird Dogs quarter zips are your new go-to. And what about pants? We all know wearing nice pants is the worst, but their new stretch khakis actually look like you're dressing up, but you have the stretch and flexibility you need. I have a pair of these. I absolutely love them. Like I could wear these to the movies and a date, movies and a dinner or something. You look great for the date. In the movies, you're comfy as well. Their other athleisure pants look shiny and too casual to wear. Or not their other athleisure pants look too shiny and casual to wear into the office, but with the stretch khakis, you could finally have comfort and style. Like I said, I love these things. They're awesome. They're very comfortable. They fit great. For a limited time, our listeners are getting a free hat when you order anything using code MMB at birddogs.com. So just any order when you go to birddogs.com, use the code MMB, you'll get a free hat. Who doesn't love a free hat? I love a free hat. Get their best-selling hat completely free when you use code MMB at birddogs.com.
The athleisure, and this big guy too. You want to look good, but you want to be comfy. Very hard to pull off, and they kind of. It's like which is the bird? The dog would be the leisure.
Yeah, dogs chill.
Leisure. Yeah, dogs.
And a bird always looks so like uppity,
proper.
Yes, you look at a bird and you're like, oh, like that guy's good posture.
I never thought about the name Bird Dogs until just now, and we just cracked the case, and it makes perfect fucking sense. Incredible.
It's like the mullet of pants, party and business all in one.
All at once.
This is a news story that really took me by surprise. It's a news story that I couldn't get too excited for, and you'll know the reason in a second. Ryan Gosling is in talks to star in Shawn Levy's Star Wars movie. Shawn Levy, who just made Deadpool and Wolverine, made Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds before that. Reynolds, not Gosling. This time we're talking Gosling. So our guy Shawn Levy, I don't know how to say it. I still haven't learned it. We don't know if he's cheating on one Ryan with another here. If Ryan Reynolds, maybe he'll be in this too, and it's Ryan versus Ryan. Because it's a Star Wars project in pre-production, I cannot get excited. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel again, but we can't get excited for these until they actually go into production. That being said, I fucking love me some Ryan Gosling, and I would love for him to be in a Star Wars project. I also think he picks pretty good projects. If you look at his resume, he's not in a lot of bad movies. So this gives me a little bit of hope, but I can't let myself get excited for it yet.
Ryan Gosling's one of those guys who I really didn't have an opinion on either way because I really didn't watch his stuff. And then I kind of like Chalamet, like, this pretty boy, get him out of here. Then I watched a few things. I'm like, I fuck with Ryan Gosling pretty fucking big right now.
Yeah,
so I was thrilled for that. Then the Shawn Levy stuff, you had all the, had us in the first half kind of a thing, and everyone was like shitting on that. And then I'm like, well, I like Deadpool and Wolverine. And then it's like, well, for a Star Wars, you want someone who has more chops than what you got out of Deadpool and Wolverine, I imagine. So here he did some Stranger Things, which I do like. I don't know which episodes. We've talked about him in the past, kind of some ups and downs. But is it really going to matter, Bob? This is just going to die at some point on the vine, right? Is it even on the vine? Is it even on the vine? Has the vine even grown?
No, it's not on the vine yet. It's not on the vine yet because like Lucasfilm needs to announce it first, and then it's on. Because Lucasfilm announces, it's not even like that means it's going to get made.
Yeah.
But once Lucasfilm announces it, I think it's on the vine. But it's one of those things where it's like the seed is in the ground, and I'm hoping it grows.
Is it though? Is it? This is what I'm thinking. And again, this is getting a little into the science territory from last week. I don't think that the seed has been planted. I know the vine has not grown. I don't even think that, they have the fences that they put up so the vines can grow on it.
It could go up, yeah.
I think that there is a plot of land that's empty, and they're like, that's where we're going to grow the vine. And that's it. And
you're probably right.
That's where we might grow the vine. It's not even like the vine has even been stamped.
That's an option.
Yes, everything's in pencil at most. I wouldn't say it's been written down.
Yeah, as far as the Shawn Levy talk goes, does he deserve a Star Wars movie? I think the answer is yes, to be honest. I know people shit on him for having cookie cutter blockbusters or whatever, but the guy knows how to make a satisfying ass blockbuster. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is as satisfying as that movie could have been, pretty much. I think he could be a good guy for this. I think David Leitch just got attached to Ocean's 14. They're talking about making Ocean's 14. That wasn't one of the news stories I had on it, but some people were upset about that. I think Jeff D. Lowe was even like, without Soderbergh, I'm not sure how to feel about it. He was the guy that just made Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. Another one where I was like, these are people that know how to make satisfying blockbusters. I think that's what you want. I think that's what you need. So I would be down for it if they choose to grow the vines on that plot of land.
Okay, yeah, I would like to see the vine grow. I'd like to
and I'd like to play a protocol droid in it. I'll throw that out there into the universe.
I thought of this idea, and I want to have your sign off on it. If this never goes anywhere, so we still have probably 2 to 3 years to even have an idea if this is just dead on arrival or not even on arrival. Can we just start making up just rumors for Star Wars?
We should.
This actor, this director, because I think at some point people are just making shit up to get clicks, and God knows where we're going to be in 2 to 3 years in terms of trying to get eyeballs on us. We have to just start engaging in these war tactics. This is like the new Star Wars. It's Star Wars, right? Ryan Gosling's a star, and they're just using it to get their own fucking shit. And it's starting to become the point where it's like, I can't just blame Kathleen Kennedy for everything here. At some point, there's darker evil involved in all this.
I'm just picturing us constantly DMing fake Star Wars scoops to Justin Kroll, who knows we're bullshitting him. Like, guys, I'm not falling for this.
Bob, we are way past that. This is like the headline. It's a YouTube. There's the picture of the actor. Big yellow word, big black
You know
word.
what? For this thumbnail, if people clicked on this, they will have already seen it. I'll make this Ryan Gosling in Star Wars. That'll be the thing, as if it's confirmed. I'll even use the AI. I'll do an AI thumbnail of him as a Jedi.
You have to have a red arrow somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, I'll throw a red arrow in there. Yeah, an arrow, a circle, something circled, so people squint and they're like, am I missing something? Is there something in that circle? Supergirl, is that Supergirl's reflection in there? I can't tell. Random news stories I had. Aaron Paul and Jonathan Banks have both been cast in Invincible Season 3. We texted about this to Breaking Bad alum. This week was the 17th anniversary of Breaking Bad debuting on AMC. Excited about this. I like both these guys. I like both their voices.
And just for the people at home who don't know Jonathan Banks, that is Mike Ehrmantraut.
Yes.
Kind of speaking of YouTube, I've been watching a little more YouTube with YouTube Premium. I don't have ads, so I'm just fucking starting to become a YouTube guy, which is very weird, but I understand. And also, those thumbnails do work. As much as I make fun of them,
they do.
My dumb ass I better watch this one. Those voices are so fucking good and unique. And you said that they're both in, what are they in?
Breaking
Like
Bad?
other cartoons.
Oh no. So I don't know about Jonathan Banks, but Aaron Paul is in BoJack Horseman, and
That's
like
right.
his voice is just like it's so great. It's really really good. BoJack's a great show too.
And I think the people Invincible will obviously use both those voices, and I think Ermitron might even have like a better voice for what you might
I
want in
know.
a superhero show. As crazy it sounds, and I don't know how I have this like I have like 5 YouTube accounts because you have all these Gmails or whatever, and my kids have basically ruined all my algorithms. So I found the one that they haven't ruined, and that is my one little algorithm. I don't even know when I was on this account, but somehow there's Breaking Bad stuff that's in the algorithm, and it's like I just get these random scenes. I had, this is the last time Walt and Mike Ehrmantraut together, and then Walt
so
meeting.
It's like, just let me die in peace.
Yeah. Hey, spoilers, Bob.
Sorry, it's 17 years old.
I said last time together to like not give the people at home who haven't, the one person who hasn't.
You don't know whose voice I was doing there.
That's true. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. So I'm just so happy. So to have a little bit of like those guys in my life, a little drop of them, Heisenberg style, was incredible.
I hope they have a scene together, in Invincible, like talking to each other. That'd be kind of fun. A little nod to the fans. Yeah. This one, I don't know how much we could believe this news story either. Tom Holland will reportedly be the lead in Christopher Nolan's upcoming version of The Odyssey. This story came out from Deadline, and I blogged it, but also I blogged the part of the source that people are kind of skeptical about. It came in a random article in the middle of it. It wasn't put out like it was like a big scoop, which it is a big scoop if it is that. It was just someone being like, oh yeah, he's the lead in Christopher Nolan's new movie. It's weird because Odysseus in The Odyssey is like, I think he's older. I think he's like 40, maybe even like 50 years old. So a lot of people assumed Matt Damon would be the star. Now people are saying, is it going to be Tom Holland plays a young version, Matt Damon plays an old version, talking about the war, pre and post? Is it going to be Tom Holland somehow plays the son, but is focused on the son, which a lot of people were like, yeah, that would suck. So probably not. I don't think Nolan would do that. I don't know how much we could believe it, but I'll say this. In 2025 or 2026, when this comes out, I am more fascinated by a Tom Holland-led Christopher Nolan movie than I am a Matt Damon-led Christopher Nolan movie. And that's nothing against Matt Damon, but it kind of goes back to what we talked about with Oppenheimer, where he shows up and you go, oh, it's Matt Damon. And it's hard to lose him in a character. I know Tom Holland is fucking Spider-Man, and it's hard to lose that as well. But I could believe that Christopher Nolan is taking Tom Holland here and making him into like an Academy respected actor.
Yeah, and I don't know why Matt Damon does that for me. And again, we discussed this and we were talking on social media. A lot of people are like, for some reason, it's like just Matt Damon. It's so unfair to him.
Yeah.
Who's a great actor in his own right.
He's amazing. Yeah. It's not like he ever gives a bad performance. It's just hard to unsee him. But like in his last couple performances, Oppenheimer, Air, a little bit of Ford versus Ferrari, every one you get a little tinge of Matt Damon. Even in like The Martian, which is one of my favorite movies. I think I like him so much because I'm like, I like Matt Damon, and Mark Watney is kind of like Matt Damon.
And then I do the Matt Damon voice from Team America. It just comes in my head. And then I can't take whatever he is seriously because I'm doing that voice in my head. I have to just let this be known. And I know I'm not going to be alone on this. I am so fucking excited for this movie to the point where I am scared how excited I am about this movie, because the movie is going to be massive. Christopher Nolan is fucking, I mean, he's the Spielberg of right now, right? He is the guy. He has the crown. And all these actors, which I feel like we just got like a couple more this week, didn't we?
A couple more. John Bernthal we mentioned earlier on in the podcast. But yeah, I think that there were maybe...
Was Zendaya already known for this?
She was already known, yeah. Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson. The cast is insane.
It's insane, and it is a subject and a subject matter that I just loved. Again, going back to when I was loving history class in high school, I don't know if I've ever been like more stoked for like a movie that is just it's not part of a universe,
like
or
a franchise.
Like yeah. Like I honestly don't know, and
it's the perfect combo. You take like the most epic of all time, and then you take the most epic director of all our time, at least, and then boom. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, and what a cast, like you mentioned, like you literally everything involved in this is a green flag so far.
And I know he's gonna be very happy that I say this. Jeff D. Lowe is gonna be very happy. I am going to see this on the biggest screen with the most high-tech speakers I can
We're going to the
find.
Vegas Sphere to see the Odyssey.
To the Sphere to see the Odyssey. That is a fucking promise. The Basement Boys. If we vlog about it, we do the right
They
thumbnail.
should absolutely do the Odyssey in the Sphere.
All right, this is in yellow font, the thumbnail. We flew all the way to the Sphere to see the Odyssey, and then a picture of Tom Holland, red circle,
and then it's a picture of us like looking like the Hangover. Like maybe you have like the Tyson tattoo and a tooth missing, and you're icing it, and I have the baby or something. You know, like yeah. This is a thumbnail ready to be made.
I mean, 2 million views, easy. Oh man, this fucking movie better be so good. And I will say this: all the reasons you listed do make sense why it won't be Tom Holland as the lead. 2 things Tom Holland has and no one else has in the world. He's Spider-Man.
Yep.
He's engaged to Zendaya. 2 things that I don't think anyone ever thought. Little Tommy Holland? Or I have to do a British, little Tommy Holland? Stay in Zendaya?
That's like Joe Burrow being like an amazing quarterback and having the Batmobile. It's like, all right, dude, pick one or the other. You can't just brag with both in our face. Yeah.
And then last thing I had, which would be leading this movie.
And I'm sure he'll pull up to the fucking Super Bowl in his Batmobile in a few years. The only other news story I had, this one made me laugh. And I'm saying that because it says almost. I'm allowed to say it made me laugh because it says almost. An audience member almost had a heart attack during a test screening of the new Mission Impossible movie, the Final Reckoning from Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise. They had a test screening, and during one of the action sequences, this audience member almost had a heart attack, had to be taken out. And Christopher McQuarrie, the director, said, "I consider that an absolute win." Which, if you're making Mission Impossible movies, if you're in the business of making these tense, heart-pounding movies, that is a win. And this made me go back and watch the Mission Impossible that was released the week before Barbenheimer, which we missed out on. I missed out on, at least. It's the first Mission Impossible since 2 I hadn't seen in theaters. I love these movies. I was one of those people like, I'm going to be spending my whole fucking wages on Barbenheimer next week. I can't go see Mission Impossible right now. I thought it was great. I thought this story was very funny.
Perfect.
Are you a Mission Impossible guy at all? Because I know you don't like car chases and shit. Yeah.
So I got out. I watched 1. I might have watched 2. This is like 90s, right?
Yeah. 2 sucks, by the way. 2 is.
I saw 2.
It's the only one in the whole series that sucks.
And I was like, I'm out. And then, in a million years, I never thought that this would become this franchise. And then the way Tom Cruise.
Take a guess how many there are. Do you even know how many there are?
17. No, 7. I'd say 7.
All right, you're correct. 8 is approaching. Yeah. Dead on the money.
So, like, I want to get back in them, though, because it's like I've heard.
Dude, they're so good.
Which
Even
one
if you don't like car chases, they're so good.
Is Philip Seymour Hoffman an incredible villain in one of them?
3.
Okay.
It's my favorite one.
By 1.
He's my favorite villain in the franchise, and 3 is the one that Abrams came in right after 2 kind of stunk, and Abrams basically gave them the blueprint for the franchise. It was like, here's how to make a Mission Impossible movie that people love. Great villain, great gadgets, fun stuff. Like, make it funny, make it comedic. It has almost like an MCU flair to it in that way, in the seriousness, but also the lightheartedness of it. And everyone since 3 has been fucking awesome. I feel like Big Al, you know that guy on Instagram, on TikTok that goes viral? His wife makes him food, brings it to the jacuzzi. Every time I watch a Mission Impossible movie, I go, spectacular. Give me 14 of them. But I think this one might be the last one. They're calling it the Final Reckoning, which, does that mean it's the final one? Or does that mean it's the final one for Ethan Hunt? Or does it mean, nobody knows with movies. I mean, the last one was called Dead Reckoning Part 1. And then they decided they weren't going to make Dead Reckoning Part 2. They were just going to call it the Final Reckoning. So we now have a Part 1 of a movie that's never getting a Part 2. Kind of drove me crazy. I feel like they should do a special edition on that one and just remove Part 1 from everything.
Yeah.
But that was just the OCD and me speaking. And that was the podcast for this week. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. Oscars, MCU, DCU, some other shit, Nolan. Who knows? Chalamet and Villeneuve may be the next 2 to get lights up in the basement after this week. Yes. I feel like they should be.
Ooh, Chalamet I might just be his name, just Timothy Chalamet. I'm thinking
Just
like
a bust, like Batman had William Shakespeare and he hit the button to the Batcave. Maybe we have a bust of Timothy Chalamet that brings us down to the basement.
I'll take that too. I was gonna say like almost like his like signature like hot pink writing, just Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, that'd be
Like,
nice.
fucking
Yeah.
you can even put it on
And
the
then-
little like the ivy walls that they have, in front of clubs or like
Yeah.
if they're doing like a photo shoot or something like that.
And I was going to say for Denny Villeneuve, I might need something on my desk in the basement. I don't know if I could co-sign him for you. I don't know if you're as big like I love Arrival. I love Blade Runner 2049. I love a lot of this guy's movies, Prisoners. I don't know if you like all of those as well.
No, I might have to go back and dip
Then Denny gets something just on my desk. I won't, take up wall space for the two of us there.
What? For Chalamet?
For a light. No, for Denny, the director.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not ready. Like again, the Dune stuff. Dune could end up getting. Dune might become a pivotal part of the basement when it's all said and done, depending on how 3 goes.
Definitely.
But I'm gonna have to start my rewatches now. Just throw it on in the background. That's gonna become part of it. And hey, if this rewatch goes, maybe I'll stir up those emotions, get really mad on Oscar night. This is bullshit.
Hell yeah.
How is Dune 2 not nominated for this and that?
I mean, just that opening of Dune 2 that's so quiet, picks up right after the first one, where you see the people floating up, and it's just like that orange background, everything about it. It's fucking awesome. I'm going to go watch it now. As I edit this podcast, I'll be watching the Dune movies, and I'm not just 2. I'll be watching 1 into 2 as I edit this podcast.
All right.
It's a little sick day, lazy Friday, editing podcast activity. Don't forget, on Tuesday at 4 p.m. on this channel, on all of my channels and the Barstool Sports Twitch, I'll be live for more Marvel Rivals. Who knows? I might be in a costume made for smashing. How about that one? Ooh, a little tease for the people that made it to the end. And let's not forget a hashtag. Shout out Lord David Snyder reminded us recently on Twitter. We've been forgetting hashtags at the end of the week.
We've been off. We've definitely been off.
Should this one be like Gosling Star Wars related? Should it be Nolan Odyssey related? Oscars?
Oscars, Dune.
Oscars, Doomed.
Another good Chalamet is that he said he has the popcorn bucket under his bed.
I know. That's such a good line. I keep mine under my bed. Just so fucking smooth, so suave. Oh, and he's hosting SNL and he's the musical guest on Saturday. He's doing Bob Dylan songs like as Bob Dylan is the music. What can't this guy do? What can he do?
Hashtag I fuck with Chalamet. Hashtag Chalamet.
Hashtag I fuck with Chalamet. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week.